In this video, we will learn about Gauss-Seidel method. Gauss-Seidel is an iterative method to solve a system of linear equations. Suppose if we have to solve a system of simultaneous three linear equations, then the first step in the method is we have to rearrange these equations like this. So the first equation will be rearranged so that we can compute the value of x1. Through second equation, if rearranged, we can compute the value of x2, and the third equation, if rearranged, we can compute the value of x3. So in the method, we start with the initial values of x1, x2 and x3. We can choose any values arbitrarily, but for simplicity, say we choose all three to be zeros. So this is the initial choice we'll start with, and then using the first equation over here, if we substitute the values of x2 and x3, we can get a new value of x1, which will be 3 by 4. And from the second equation, we can get the new value of x2 by substituting the latest values of x1 and x3. So for x1, we'll use the latest value which we got from the previous step, and x3 as 0. So we'll get a new value of x2. Similarly, then we'll use the third equation to get the new value of x3. Over here, again, we have to use the recent values of x1 and x2. For x1, we'll use the value which we got from the equation 1, and x2 will use the value which we got from the previous step. And that will complete our first iteration. Then we have to proceed and we have to go for the next iteration. In the next iteration, again, we'll be using these three equations to get new values of x1, x2 and x3 again. Over here, we have to remember just one thing, that in these equations, we always have to use the latest values of x1, x2 and x3, which is appearing on the right hand side of the expressions. So we can continue these iterations, say 5 number of times or maybe more, depending upon when the solution starts converging. If say the solution starts converging after 3 iterations, we can stop after 5 iterations. But if the solution doesn't converge, say up to 7th or 8th iteration, then we'll have to go for the further iteration. So depending upon when the convergence starts, we can stop the iteration. Now let us see how we can write down the program in Scilab to solve a system of linear equations. We'll begin with the 3 linear equations and then we'll generalize our program so that it can be used for any number of equations. Say we have these 3 simultaneous equations, and this is how they can be represented in the matrix form. And if we rearrange these equations, then this first equation can be rearranged like this, second like this, and third one like this. So from the first equation, we can get the value of x1. From second equation, we can get the new value of x2. And from 3, we can get the new value of x3. In order to program this, we have to see how it can be done. For that, we have to find out the pattern. Now, in order to compute x1, if we look at the subscript over here, if we are computing x1, we have the same subscript appearing at these positions. And if you are computing x2, then the only change is that wherever we were having the one subscript, it is now changed to 2. And similarly for the third equation, wherever we had 1, now it has been changed to 3. So that is the change, and we have to make use of this pattern so that we can program it in the most efficient way. In general, we can write down these 3 equations something like this: bi minus, and this thing we'll write down later, and we have to see what we have to substitute within this bracket. So we'll be rewriting this in this form. And over here we see that when we are computing x1, a11 x1 term is missing. And similarly, if we look at the expression for x2, here a22 x2 is missing, and for x3, a33 x3 is missing. So we can put this aij xj where I is not equal to j. So I should not be equal to j, and the summation will run over not I over j only, where j is going from 1 to 3. And 3, why we are taking 3? Because we have 3 equations. If the number of equations will become more, say 4, then this 3 will be changed to 4. So this is the compact representation of the three equations, and it is this compact representation which we have to make use of. It is this formula which we'll be making use of for the Scilab programming. So over here we see that I can take values 1, 2, 3, because if you take I as 1, we'll be getting the value of x1. For 2, we'll be getting x2, and for I equal to 3, we can get the value of x3. In order to program this, we'll be using two loops, one for the I loop and other for the j loop. And the I loop will go from 1 to 3. And within the I loop, we'll have another loop for j. And j will be again going from 1 to 3 because we have to take this summation. But within the for j loop, we have to put the condition that if I is not equal to j, only then the summation has to take place. So now let us see how this problem can be programmed using Scilab. Look at the program over here. This is the program. A is the input matrix because we are writing down the program for a system of three linear equations. So this matrix will be a 3 by 3 matrix. As the number of linear equations will increase, then the matrix size will increase accordingly. And B is another column matrix. We are initializing the vector x by keeping all the values x1, x2 and x3 as 0. And initially we are displaying this vector, which is the initial value of x. And then over here in the program, we are using the loops, nested loops. One for the I and other one for the j. I will run from 1 to 3 and j will also run from 1 to 3. Why? Because we are solving it for the system of three linear equations. And this 3 value will change depending upon what is the number of system of equations that you are using in the program. Now within the for loop, we have written down this condition: if I is not equal to j, only then the sum has to take place, and we are using this equation aij xj, which we have over here. And then once for loop is completed, then within the I loop we are using this equation which we have just derived, and then we are displaying the values of x which we'll get after one iteration. So let us execute it and see what do we get. On execution, we see that this is the initial value which we are starting with, and after one iteration has been completed, the value of x1 is this, x2 is this, and x3 is this. Now if we want to perform more number of iterations for that, say if I use this for 5 number of iterations, then I have to enclose these two loops between this, and then I'll end this. So after every iteration, the values of x will be displayed. So let us execute it and we should get the result for 5 iterations. So over here we see that the result after every iteration is displayed, and we see that the results have started converging. And finally the value after 5th iteration for x1 is approximately equal to 1, the value of x2 is 2, and x3 is minus 1. And in order to check whether the values of x which we have evaluated is correct or not, so what we are doing is we are multiplying the given matrix A with the x vector which we have obtained numerically, and this should give us the matrix B. So the matrix B was 3, 9 and minus 6, and we see that the values of the matrix B is quite close to what we have got after we have multiplied A with the x. So this is how Gauss-Seidel method can be used for a system of 3 equations, and you can change the number of iterations by changing this number, or if you want to generalize this program for any number of equations, then let us see how it can be done. So for that, what we can do is we can make use of the size function. So if we write down the size of A, that will return the number of rows and columns of the matrix. So we'll get the size, and over here instead of initializing it like this, we can initialize it using the other method. That is, we can say x will be zeros, and we have to create a vector of the size which should be equal to the number of rows. So, and it should have one column, so we can create, we'll initialize the vector x using this built-in function 0. So that will create a column vector which will be having r number of rows and one column. And over here, since this I will run for the number of rows you have, so this has to be changed to the equal to number of rows, and similarly it has to be changed for the j. If we make these changes, then let us see whether it works for the system of equations. We should get the same result. So on execution, we see that we are getting the same result. Now if we change it to any number of equations, it should work. Let us try with the 2 system of equations. Then in that case, we'll be having A will become 2 by 2 matrix, and similarly this will become column vector with 2 elements. And let us see what do we get. So we see that we are getting the two values x1 and x2, and the values of x1 is converging, and similarly the value of x2 is also converging, and finally this is the resultant B matrix which we are getting after multiplication of the matrix A with the matrix X, and we are getting quite good results. So this is how Gauss-Seidel method can be used to solve linear equations using Scilab.